Welcome to LeadsCon Live, a place where you'll hear great conversations with movers and shakers about the latest trends in the lead generation industry. LeadsCon Live is the home for all things lead generation. Now, your host, Michael Faree.
Welcome to LeadsCon Live 2015 here in New York City. I'm joined day one here with Gragg from Blue Chair. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing with the LeadsCouncil and what you're a bit passionate about lead gen and showing, cleaning up the industry, so to speak, to really provide an environment that's regulated, safe for buyers, sellers, for the whole ecosystem to continue and grow. So, having said all that, what are you doing with the LeadsCouncil today? Share a little bit about what's going on there from your perspective.
LeadsCouncil is evolving. It's a great thing. It has a great opportunity to really be at the forefront of compliance for lead generation in general. We have worked hard with a group of board members over the last 4 or 5 months now to build standards, to build guidelines, to build a mission statement, to gain focus on what really needs to be done. We're not in a real hurry. It's been, lead gen's been around for 30 years. It's really been humming along for 20 years. And so in the 90s, what happened in lead gen is anybody who was anyone could sell inquiries or information on the internet for a price. And so what we saw in the 90s was a lot of people, they would go out and just buy general information lists, qualify those lists, and then send them through the pipeline. Is that legal to do? Well, sure, if somebody will buy them. I mean, if you're buying a name for 12 cents and selling it for $25, heck, you're making a heck of a margin, right? But is that really full disclosure to the client? Could the client just buy that information themselves? Well, we went through that rigmarole and we figured those people out quickly. In addition to that, the internet is a wild, wild west place. People can kind of do what they want where they want. There are easy places to hide on the internet. And so what we found with LeadsCouncil was a need to try to identify the good providers, the good players, the good people that are out there trying to do the right things for the clients. We're seeing that happen. There are a lot of great players out there. It's like any other industry though. There are a lot of crooks out there. And so what we want to do on LeadsCouncil is establish a guideline and a standard that people can join and participate in that will separate the good from the unknown. I'm not going to say bad because we don't know. If somebody doesn't join LeadsCouncil, we won't know. But if somebody does join LeadsCouncil, what we'll do for them is we'll audit them. They'll agree to live by FTC, FCC, CFPB, Department of Ed, States Attorneys General's guidelines on lead generation. We'll then audit those people based upon that criteria. If they don't meet that criteria, we'll give them a remediation period, usually 90 days, to clean up that infraction. If they clean up the infraction within those 90 days, all is good. If they don't clean up that infraction, they will be moved off of LeadsCouncil. We want LeadsCouncil to stand for something. We want LeadsCouncil to make a mark in the space. In addition to that, we understand regulation. We understand that the possibility of regulation is always a possibility within any industry that deals directly with the consumer. And certainly Elizabeth Warren at the CFPB, certainly other entities that are out there, Sally at the FTC, they're concerned about consumer safety. And is the consumer really getting the information that they need to get? Are we being fair to that consumer? And so what we looked at in terms of LeadsCouncil was we wanted LeadsCouncil not only to assist those sellers that are out there, but then also protect the buyers and protect the consumer at the end of the day. In addition, have a voice in Washington, D.C., establish relationships with the FTC, FCC, CFPB, Department of Ed, and other federal departments that can give us a little bit of a voice and a relationship with those individuals. Because right now, as far as I can see, we don't have a lot of relationship or representation in Washington, D.C.
From the lead generation standpoint.
From the lead generation standpoint, and even the buyer side doesn't have a lot of representation. Now, education has representation, insurance has representation, mortgage has representation, but as a lead gen group, we have zero representation. And so the initiatives for education, mortgage, insurance are a lot different than the initiatives for lead gen. And so we have our own table to set. We have our own initiative to move forward. And we have our own business to make sure people understand.
Yeah.
I mean, the CFPB, FTC, FCC, they need to understand what we do, how we do it, and that there are good players trying to clean up the space as it matures into the next era.
So if I'm a lead seller, why do I want to put myself into a position where I can be audited, or why do I want to become a LeadsCouncil member and risk this sort of transparency that maybe I don't want to provide? Is there
Huge value.
Yeah.
Number one, for LeadsCouncil, you're going to get the good housekeeping seal of approval, technically. And so we'll give you that LeadsCouncil badge or logo. If you don't meet compliance guidelines within the council, you will not get that and you cannot use that. If you do meet those standards, you will have that badge. You will be able to promote that badge, which is going to tell all the buyers that, hey, I am a good lead provider. I've been audited. I am a member of LeadsCouncil. I am following all of these rules. I am to be trusted. I am a good provider. If you're not a provider, I really don't know what you're doing. And so when clients come to you, when buyers come to you and look at you and say, okay, can I trust this vendor? Can I trust this seller? Well, you can trust them if they're part of LeadsCouncil because we verified them.
Yep. And so, let's on the other side of the table, we got buyers, right? You mentioned what's their benefit of becoming a LeadsCouncil member, and why do they want to support this initiative?
Well, how many buyers come to you and ask you, hey, what are the good lead providers out there? All the time. And so this gives them a channel to go through. This gives them a site to go through and see, okay, these people have been audited, these people are members, these guys are good players, they're committed to doing the right thing in lead generation. And so as a buyer, I'm going to go to that side and I'm going to look through that list. In addition, for both the buyer and seller, we're going to have educational programs. And so we're going to be giving possibly quarterly webinars on education. We'll partner with the FTC. We'll build those relationships. For individuals to go out and build those relationships on their own, it's impossible. It's too expensive. But as a group, we can bound together under the LeadsCouncil banner and go out there and establish those relationships with those legislative parties or rulemaking parties that are important, and at least we can have a voice. And that's why both the buyer and seller want to participate in this group. They can have a voice that is unified, in my opinion.
Yep, and there's a lot of education that needs to occur, not just for the buyers and the sellers, but even the regulatory bodies, right? The FTC is putting on a workshop in a month. Maybe you could share a little bit about what you've heard about that workshop and what they're going to be doing and how the LeadsCouncil is attempting to be a part of it.
Well, there's a lot of bad press on lead generation in general, and so what we've done at LeadsCouncil is we've worked hard building a good group, a standards group that's going to work with the FTC, FCC, CFPB on those seminars or those breakouts or workshops that they put together. We need representation there because if we wouldn't go there and participate in those sessions, all the negative people will go. They'll say bad lead providers, bad lead providers. We're going to go and say, hey, look, here's what's going on in this space. We'll educate them, as you said. We're going to educate the people there. We're going to show them that there are good players and there are people that are committed to maturing the lead gen space. Without that, it's similar to any other industry. If rule makers go by just public opinion or negative opinion, then there'll be negative rulemaking. And so what we want to do is get on the front end of that, and so there's positive rulemaking so that we have input, or at least we can see what rulemaking is occurring so that we can have input on it and hopefully move them in the right direction. I wouldn't say sway them because we really don't want to sway anybody. We would just want to be honest and we want our fair shake. We want to represent ourselves on a truthful level to the federal bodies.
Got it. So what's the outlook next 6 months for this agenda with the committee and the self-regulation committee? What do we have in store? Can people expect over the next 6 months with the LeadsCouncil?
With the LeadsCouncil, we'll standardize membership, and so there'll be one price. There were tiering prices historically for buyers and sellers, and right now what we're going to do is standardize that pricing. In addition, we're going to formalize the action list for the coming year. Today we'll announce in general session at 11:45 the board members, the mission, the goals associated with LeadsCouncil. And then in the coming months what we'll do is we'll flesh out the final budget, we'll flesh out the goal or the action items for 2016, and then the board will work together as a group on those initiatives to get those done by the end of the year. What our hopes are is that we'll be able to formalize a good structure within the organization and then take off running January 1 with membership and education and lobbying and growth for the LeadsCouncil.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So if someone wants to learn more, they could obviously go to LeadsCouncil.com, but if they also want to learn more about Gragg or TigerShield or MTD, they can reach out to any one of those websites.
Any of those websites, or
and
just
get a hold
type
of
in
you.
Gregory Gragg on the internet, and I think you'll find me.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me and sharing everything you got going on. It's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you for
Excellent,
your time.
Greg. Yep,
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today at LeadsCon Live. Join us again for the next conversation and stay on top of the latest happenings with lead generation.